Welcome.
Ooh.
Welcome back to episode 2.
Episode.
Episode 2.
Episode
Which
2.
I accidentally saved the first episode as episode with an extra I. So, yes, welcome back to Witches and Legends and Ghosts.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Yeah, I guess we'll start with our shot.
Yes.
I'm gonna cough. I also don't have. Where's my water? Oh, here it is. Okay.
The shot today is blue curacao.
Yes. Last time was white rum.
And it burned my throat.
It also burned mine. Also, my cats are actually out today, so you will be seeing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much smoother.
Much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like rum, but wow. I don't know.
Not alone.
Yeah.
So, we are the last video that we made.
Yes.
Our very first one, the file got corrupted. So we're trying this on a different app.
Oh.
And the cat's playing with it. So
The video,
will
not
be
like
shaken.
the audio.
yeah. So the video is corrupted. We're trying to fix it. Hopefully it'll be fixed. If not, we might just upload that one.
Yeah.
With just the sound and just our logo.
Because we're now recording on something else.
Yes.
A different program. So
Different
hopefully this
app.
program doesn't just
Stop
only work
working.
for 2 minutes and then just completely cut out.
Yeah.
That's less than ideal.
Yeah. We also are drinking pumpkin spice apple wine. Cat.
We're sorry. She's just chowing down on the computer right now.
I have to.
Ma'am, you have to leave. The stuff smells so good.
Yeah, so it's apple wine, so made out of apples, but pumpkin spice flavored.
Yes.
Kyle and I have really been into a kick of like trying different fruit wines lately. So far we've tried blueberry,
Ooh.
pineapple, it was really good actually.
Was it?
It
Sounds
tasted
bad.
mainly like juice. I couldn't even taste the
Oh.
alcohol.
So then it's good.
Speaking of cranberry, also it just tastes like cranberry juice and peach. Those ones were like
Those
the
sound
best.
good. Blueberry sounds bad.
Blueberry,
honestly.
yeah, it was very, very bitter. Like,
Okay.
more bitter. Okay.
Because I feel like there's not a lot of flavor in blueberries in general. So
Yeah.
I feel like the wine is just not. No.
Okay.
I've had orange wine and it's honestly
That sounds
the worst
awful.
thing that
That
I've ever had.
sounds truly
Like,
awful.
I don't even know how to explain to you. Me and my other friend Bella both like took a sip of this stuff and instantly we both looked at each other and like it was hard to keep it down because it was so bad. It tastes like mold. Like it literally I've never had mold, but I swear
Ew.
this was mold.
Have you ever
don't
had
recommend.
when you weren't vegan, because I'm assuming you can't have jelly beans while you're vegan?
I don't know.
Have you had the every flavors?
I have. Yeah,
Have you had the bad ones?
some of them.
I played one time with an old friend of ours, Sam. I don't want to say her last name.
No.
Sam. And I was
Sam,
over at her house.
Tennessee?
No.
Okay.
No.
Different Sam.
There's
a lot of
Sam
Sams.
Tennessee is who introduced us, and that's why we're friends. This other
Thanks,
Sam.
Sam.
Thank you, Sam. This other Sam, we were doing this one, and she got every good flavor, and I got every bad flavor. It just happened. Like, so I had the rotten milk, the dead fish. The
Dead fish?
dead fish was the worst one. It was worse than the rotten milk.
I feel like I can't even remember the flavor I had. I feel like I had vomit, and that was the only one. And yeah, it
That was
tasted
bad,
like
too.
vomit.
That
so.
was also very bad. Sorry, I'm gonna put my phone on.
Oh my god,
Do not disturb.
rude.
I know. Okay,
So jelly beans.
jelly beans. So, happy Halloween Eve, All Hallows Eve, if you will. Oh, didn't like it?
I do, but like wine tastes very different from blue curacao.
It
So
does. You have to adjust.
I had to adjust to the
I got you.
very
Sweet.
large. Yes,
Very
very
sweet
sweet, not
compared to
bitter. Yeah, very good.
Our spider, Celine, is still on the ceiling. But
Jumping
this time,
spider?
Jumping spider, yes. But this time my cat is trying to attack her. So if you hear movement in the background,
Little jingles.
that's Artemis attacking Celine, which, oh,
But Artemis is very far from Celine. Artemis doesn't know that. And so Artemis keeps trying, but it's mostly just her staring and the spider just not caring at all.
Spider just going in the opposite direction when it feels threatened. Okay. Happy. Oh. I just rolled them.
Oh my god, I'm really cold.
Oh my god, we're gonna have to edit out so much.
No, it's fine.
Happy October 30th, everyone. Halloween
It's exciting
Eve.
time.
What will we be doing? Probably recording another episode
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
Let's see. Tomorrow is our first official launch on Halloween. That's very exciting. Do you have any plans for Halloween?
It's Halloween on...
It's on a Monday.
It's on a Monday.
Yeah.
Monday. I forgot. Oh no. I do my internship. I have an internship and I do that on Monday. But I know Monday is my daycare that I work at. They're doing a little Halloween thing, trunk or treat. So all of the little kiddos are going to come in their costumes. And I'm not going to be able to go because school. But that's okay. They'll probably...
Bro, I keep spilling stuff on myself.
You're a mess.
I am a mess.
She's drunk.
I'm
just... He's dead. He's like Fran. He jumped to his death. If you have not watched this video. Franz? Let me look. Franz? What is his name?
Just look up Franz Eiffel Tower. Trigger warning, don't watch this if you don't like seeing people fall to essentially their deaths. He doesn't die on impact. He dies in the hospital a couple days later.
Die on impact. You just see him
crashing to the ground from the Eiffel Tower.
Fully jump.
Okay, we have to back up.
Did he jump?
Okay, we have to back up. So, this man thought that he could fly, right?
No, let's back up even further.
Okay.
I found this video a long time ago. We are in Europe. We are on the bus. And we are driving past the Eiffel Tower. And I'm like, oh, I have this really funny video of a man jumping to his death. I should show my friends. And only she laughed. Only she found it funny.
Very disturbed.
They were very disturbed. So if you get disturbed by, I don't know, people jumping to their death, maybe don't watch this. But if it is the funniest, it was so funny in the moment too. We are dying on this tour bus. Just dying. The person's talking over the phone, trying to tell us things about the Eiffel Tower. She has a bow and she's carrying a bow.
Oh my God.
But he thinks he could fly, and he thinks that
not that he just couldn't fly. That he created a invention.
He was an engineer.
Yeah, that will allow him to coast essentially. So what he does is they take a video of this. Okay, he is on.
This is I think. I don't know if they had live TV, but there's people here watching him.
Yeah, they knew this was happening.
Because he's I'm an inventor. I invented this great thing.
Yeah. So he's on the Eiffel Tower, and there is a table next to the side, and then on top of the table is a chair, and that's what he's standing on. He's standing on a chair that's on a table that's on the Eiffel Tower.
Yes. And he has a bed sheet.
It looks like a bed sheet.
It's a large bed sheet, maybe multiple sewn together. And that is his invention. His invention is bed sheets taped to his arm.
Because he thinks he can...
float,
I guess.
Float. He's an airplane.
He's like a flying squirrel.
Spoiler alert, he's not. He's not a flying squirrel.
Yeah. No, he's not. He's a human. Who you can really tell was starting to doubt himself.
Yeah.
Right before he jumps.
A lot of doubt.
A lot. He takes a couple steps forward and then kind of comes back a couple of times, and then eventually it looks like he falls. It looks like it was not intentional.
He didn't jump.
No.
He stepped off.
He stepped and fell. Oh, the cat's gonna try and jump.
She's just like Franz. But Franz didn't make it. In fact, they pull out a ruler afterwards to measure the impact.
How deep it was where his
and then they drag his body away to the hospital.
They carry. They don't drag.
Well,
they're carrying.
They carry. I just mean,
I really
gotta get out of there.
One.
Yeah. Fatal leap from the Eiffel Tower. If you could call it that. A leap.
It was not a leap.
It was more like a step.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that gives you a view of our humor.
Yes, it does. Yes,
dark,
it does.
but hilarious. Come on, guys. What's not funny about a man thinking he can fly? And then he just literally shoots down. He just shoots down.
Just look up Franz
Eiffel Tower on YouTube, and the video is like there. 30 seconds or something.
It is the shortest video.
And you will laugh your ass off if you're not lame. Yes. But again, it's a man jumping to his death. So like, if you have,
so
if
like, actually though, like, don't watch it if you will be triggered by this.
But
and
if
you're
you have
not a
dark
loser
humor,
if you're triggered, by the way.
If you have dark humor, then you'll think
you will
it's hilarious.
You will.
So anyway. So
what are you bringing us this week?
I'm talking about vampires.
Ooh.
Franz kind of looked like a vampire.
Did he?
A little bit.
Oh, okay. Are these like the mythical, or like the ones that people still think are like live and around today?
Well, here's the thing. People like are self-proclaimed vampires today, but like they don't actually have. They just like drinking blood. That's it. So like it's not like, because there's like all these things about vampires where they can't see themselves in the mirror, and like
sunlight,
garlic and something.
Yeah.
Oh, let's literally stop. How do I mute this? There we go. And people aren't like that today. They just drink blood. And then they call themselves vampires.
So, Edward Cullen.
So Edward, Team Edward. I'm a Team Edward.
Is he like an actual?
Are you gonna ask?
Is he a real vampire? Like in like this lore.
Well, Edward Cullen isn't a vampire.
He's not.
No, okay. Edward's not in what I'm talking. I'm not talking about Edward today.
Oh well, yeah. I was just asking in general. Is he a vampire, or is he like a fake vampire?
I think he's a vampire.
Okay.
The werewolves.
Questionable.
They literally can turn into wolves, but trickle light,
Yeah.
So, anyways.
So
here's the thing about vampires.
Tell me.
I didn't realize this. I thought that like vampires were like a mythological creature, right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but they're not. Like, not really. So,
I'm skeptical.
Vampires didn't like exist prior to 1730, and they started existing in 1730 because this doctor named Johannes Fluckingers.
Okay.
He's a doctor, and I'm pretty sure he's like the first document, like his notes about vampirism are like one of the first documented like notes about vampires.
Okay.
And this happened, I'm pretty sure, where was this? Serbia? The Baltic area. I don't know where Serbia is.
Yes. It's in the Baltic.
It's around there. And where am I going with this? Where am I going with this?
Serbia.
We're talking about Slavic.
Serbia. Yeah.
European.
Uh-huh.
So those people didn't know anything about death, basically. Because I know at one point, like, people thought it was bad to, like, cut into other people, like, after they died, Or, like, surgery didn't exist because it was, like, did you know that?
No.
Like, yeah. It was, like, bad. Like, if you did that, then, like, I think it was, like, you're bringing bad things to the dead people, but also, like, it just, like, didn't exist. So, like, if people died, nobody did surgery, nobody did anything. It was just like, oh, they died.
So.
And, like, there's a famous painting documenting the first ever, like, dissection.
Was it after someone died? Or was it like, oh, okay.
No. It was after someone died. Okay. But, like, people didn't know what was inside bodies at
That's
this
crazy
point.
To think about, actually.
I know. I took, like, a Gothic literature class.
That's cool.
And we talked about, like, Gothic art. And this painting is just, like, this professor or doctor, like, in a room. I think it's, like, a college place. Because there's just, like, rows of, like, people just watching him cut into this body. Wow. And it was, like, the first recorded whatever.
That's crazy.
It is. It's pretty cool.
So then, wait. That's really interesting because, okay, this could be just my ignorance, but I thought in, like, Egypt and stuff, like, they would do stuff to preserve those bodies and whatnot. Do they cut into them?
I'm talking about like European.
Oh, specifically
Americas.
Okay.
Yeah,
got
no.
it.
I'm talking the white people.
I'm
talking the white people.
I got it. Okay.
And because they didn't know anything about death, they kind of like just made up like folklore basically. So people weren't really identified as vampires until after they died. And then people unburied them, exhumed them. And they found irregularities like in their bodies. So like some people would have a lack of decomposition, and there would be like some liquid blood found around like their nose and their mouths, and people were like, vampire.
Huh.
Yeah, so this doctor was like looking at dead people, and he was like, well, that blood around their mouth, they are a vampire. And these people like will kill you. Yeah.
Do they think they came back to life or something?
I see, that's where it gets confusing, because I think that's part of it, but then the other part of it is that they thought that like in a vampire's lifetime they've just consumed so much blood that like once they died it like just started oozing out of them.
But doesn't blood ooze out of people who just anyone who...
Yes, that's where I'm going. Because they didn't know anything about death or decomposition. And I guess decomposition is, like, also misunderstood today. But they thought, like, decomposition would be rapid and blah, 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 blah. But the temperatures in these places were really cold. So when they buried them underground, it was, like, the temperatures were, like, yeah. So, like, when they came out, of course, like, they're not decomposing when they came out. When they were unburied, exhumed.
when they
crawled back out. When people took them out, they were like, oh, he's not... just a skeleton. It's only been 2 months, but he's not a skeleton. That means he is a vampire, and that vampires decompose slower, and like because they're like undead or whatever else, because it's like a disease.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So ew.
So ew is right.
It says. It says, vampires suck the blood of living people and animals in such great abundance that sometimes it comes out of their mouths, their nose, and especially their ears, and that sometimes the body swims in its blood, which has spilled out onto its coffin. Yummy, right? But I guess during the normal process of decomposition, the lungs become loaded with a dark red sanguineous fluid, and the brain liquefies, which is probably the most disturbing thing I've ever heard. Just like picture this brain, like your brain just melts.
So maybe that's why the Egyptians would take the brains out and preserve them, so that they could preserve like their person in the afterlife.
That's such
theory. Anyway.
And so obviously like, because it was like colder and the body secretes this liquid when it decomposes, like obviously the liquid is going to be pulled out. It's not just going to sit in the body.
It like expels all the fluids and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess too, I'll get into that after a while.
Okay.
But when they take these bodies out, they like see the blood and whatever else, and they, vampires. This is sort of where like the whole like wooden stake thing came from.
Okay.
Because they wanted to make sure that they were fully dead, so they would either decapitate them or like stab their heart with a wooden stake. And when you do that, when somebody dies, like sometimes like it can make a sound, like a low groan or a high pitched scream from the gases being forced out. So that, of course, that adds to like, oh, they were like
spookiness.
Yeah, they're like, oh, for sure this is a vampire because he's making noises after he's like supposed to be dead.
That's fucking terrifying. That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I was reading this article and it's like explaining this doctor who like where he went to like this one place in Serbia, and they're just like digging so many bodies out. Just so many bodies out because they're like, it's a vampire outbreak, blah, blah, blah. So they're like taking bodies out, and there's just like infants being taken out that have died, and they're just stabbing bodies with wooden stakes, and they're making these noises, and there's blood everywhere. Yeah.
That sounds awful. That was in the 1730s?
Yeah. And what's funny, too, is, like, these people are like, oh, they must be vampires because the blood is leaking out. But they also would bury them face down so that if they, like, tried to, because they're vampires, so, like, they're not dead. So if they tried to, like, come back out, they would have a harder time unburying themselves, and they'd be, like, lost in the dirt because they're face down. So, of course, if they're face down, even more blood is just going to
pool out around them.
Pool out.
Yes.
But they're like, nope. Vampires. Another thing is that I guess rabies back then appeared similar to like what they called as vampirism. Because I guess this is where it gets confusing for me. Because this article says that rabid patients back in the day would like rush at people and like try to attack or whatever else. Yeah. But when I look it up, obviously things are different today, I'm assuming. But when I look it up, obviously rabies isn't like, they just kind of have like a headache, upset stomach or whatever. And then after, if you have rabies for long enough, then you start like seeing things and you get irritable really quickly.
Jesus.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, they, like people start seeing things. But most of the time, like people either have like vaccines for rabies, or I feel like rabies just isn't as prevalent nowadays, where we are at least. Like, definitely I've never seen a rabbit anything.
No, me neither.
And I guess dogs are most commonly associated with rabies today, but back in the day, wolves were like the things that were rabid. Then. And here's the thing: this I think is really really cool. So werewolves didn't exist back in the day, but like vampires, there was like not a distinction between werewolves and vampires. They were like essentially the same thing. Because these people thought that vampires, because you know, like you've heard that vampires can shift into bats. Yeah. But these people thought that vampires, like a vampire is almost like a human that has like transformed into their animalistic side. And so vampires could transform into wolves or beasts or bats or anything. So all these wolves that were rabid, they were like, oh my gosh, that's like a vampire.
Oh, but like shifted into its like...
Yeah, it's shifted into its beast form. Yeah. And also there was like this one story where this man, back in the day, this is still in the Slavic area.
Okay.
This man had rabies and he like went into his house and he like attacked his wife and brutally killed her and then like started scratching and like attacking himself. And they like people like went in and there's just like a bloodbath everywhere, and so people are like, oh, he's a vampire because he didn't like have any weapons. He's just like
scratching himself,
scratching her.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And so like I just think it's really cool though that like vampires and werewolves were like the same thing. Yeah. Because vampires were just people who could turn into other things and had a thirst for blood.
I'm assuming, I don't want to like jump the ship, but I'm in there, I'm assuming you have like why it got split up eventually or why we have like two? Like,
no, actually, why? I don't know why. It isn't, I'm assuming it's probably like a, well, because I might attribute it to like Dracula, like the book Dracula.
That always seems to be something.
Yeah, because he obviously doesn't turn into a wolf.
Yeah, definitely
at all. Not. Which I kind of talk about Dracula too.
Ooh. Good.
People associated witchcraft and occult forces with animals, as well as the crossing of the line between animals and humans. And this person says, I think a lot of the fear was based on the fact that humans are animals and what happens if people concede to their animal side rather than like try to preserve their humanistic side.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's like rabies like of the mind or something.
That's crazy. Yeah. Okay, wow. That's really, really interesting.
I like it a lot. I mean, I don't like it a lot, but I like it a lot.
I know what you mean. I got you.
And there's also like, what was it? There was a historical coincidence that during the period when dramatic tales of vampires were first emerging, a major epidemic of rabies was recorded in this time period. So people literally took rabies and like mentally ill people and like mixed them and turned them into vampires, because obviously like schizophrenia and stuff like that, like people would just think that is like, oh, they're crazy, that means they're they're literally a vampire.
That's very, very interesting.
I know. I like it.
Huh.
I mean, I don't. But I do.
You like learning about it.
I like learning about it. So then Dracula.
Yes, tell me.
people think that the guy who wrote Count Dracula.
Oh, yes.
The guy who wrote Count Dracula was inspired by the 15th century Romanian prince Vlad Tepes, but he was also known as Vlad the Impaler.
Yes, I know about him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So they think it came from him? Like the vampire we know today came.
Yes. Yeah. People think that the vampire we know today came from Vlad the Impaler because Vlad became notorious for the brutal tactics he gave to his enemies with torture, mutilation, and mass murder. Uh-huh. He would decapitate or boil or skin his victims alive. But his preferred method was impalement, driving a wooden stake through their bodies and leaving them to die there.
The wooden stake.
Vlad the Impaler. Vlad.
Interesting.
And some people account that Vlad liked to dine among the impaled bodies of his victims and even would dip his bread into their blood. So that's nutrition. So that's sort of why people think that Count Dracula, the story, was about him because impaling, drinking blood, mass murder.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the vampire we know today is not the one that was thought of back in hundreds of years ago. They're
right.
Very different. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so I think we have a vampire today because of Count Dracula, and then Vlad the Impaler. Yeah, but people right. It was kind of like the witch hunt with the vampires. It was people accusing anyone of being a vampire.
So would they kill people for thinking that they're vampires?
I don't think so, because most of the time they couldn't know that you're a vampire.
Until you die?
Until you die and they bring up your body and you have blood around your mouth. That's literally fucking it.
Okay, and then so literally everyone.
At that point, they would decapitate you and
stab you
with the whatever.
Yeah.
I think also part of it was that, I think that one, maybe it's a different story, but there's one guy in this village that all of this started in one village or whatever.
Okay.
But this one guy who died. After he died, a whole bunch of people in their village died. So they were he's dead, but all these people are dying. And then he had blood around his mouth. And so they think that he died, but he's a vampire, so he's actually alive.
And killing
And then
people.
He's killing people.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, another thing,
yeah.
They thought vampirism could be spread by, a vampire injecting venom into, the meat that they eat. So then people would eat it, and then they would turn into vampires and, die or whatever.
Oh.
Which, if, a rabid dog bit an animal, it could have rabies, and then if people eat that cow with rabies, they get rabies.
So rabies
is vampirism. Okay. Thank you.
Got it. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you need to know. Rabies equals vampires back in the day, and then Count Dracula is Edward Cullen.
Obviously.
Done.
And werewolves also are vampires.
And werewolves are vampires. So actually, there is no Team Edward. There is no Team Jacob. It's just team vampire. We debunked all of Twilight just now. There is no rivalry because they are one.
They are the same.
I love that so much. So those vampires.
That's really...
I literally didn't know anything about vampires.
Really I definitely thought that it was just a made-up thing. I didn't realize it was something that people actually feared at some point in time.
It was a hysteria. It's not just a folklore thing. It was people thought they had science behind this because they were oh, blood.
Right.
And, it spreads to the animals, and then we eat it, and then we get it. And people are dying, and then everybody else is dying, too.
It's they were so close to understanding things.
They were this close, but it wasn't vampires.
No,
guys.
It was not vampires.
If they were dead, they were dead.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
I know. So now we know so much about vampires. You're welcome.
Thank
Edward,
you.
fake.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to adjust this. So
Him and Vlad are not the same.
Okay. I'm bringing you the tale of La Llorona.
I don't know anything about her.
Yeah, I didn't know anything either. I knew there was a movie that came out a couple years ago, and that's the only thing that I know.
Yeah. I don't think I watched it.
Me neither.
Because I don't know if
I was gonna watch it for this, but then I was like, well, what if that like skews what the actual story is?
Oh, for sure.
And then I'm like thinking of so I just went off of this.
Yeah.
So she's also known as the Weeping Woman or the Wailer.
Ooh.
She like wails.
She wails.
She wails. She is described as a beautiful yet vengeful spirit with long flowing black hair, and she always is like wearing like a wet white gown.
Wait.
Yes, because she's found around, like Samara? Is that what you're going to think of? From The Ring? Oh.
I was thinking the one episode of Supernatural where, like, the woman stands on the side of the road in, like,
the woman in white.
Gown. Yeah, the woman in white, and she, like, killed her children or something.
I think it's based off of this.
Oh, my gosh.
Because? So she's found around bodies of water where she's mourning her children who she drowned.
Okay, so it's definitely based off of this.
Yes.
Got it.
So there's different versions of this, but there's even colonial texts that show evidence that this lore originated like in the Central Highlands, and like it's fully pre-Hispanic and stuff. Like it just
really,
yeah, they just have like documentation of it. Like it existed then. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah,
like this, like the lore, I should say.
Right.
Most commonly, it's associated with the colonial era, and it represents like a dynamic between the relationships of like male Spanish conquistadors and like the indigenous women of the countries that the conquistadors were going to conquer.
Okay.
And so the typical version includes a woman who married a conquistador, and she has 2 children with him, but then one day she sees him with another woman. And so in a fit of blind rage, she drowns her kids in the river.
What else would you do?
Right. And then she instantly regrets it and then drowns herself from the guilt. But because of what she did, she can't go to the afterlife. And so she's forced to stay in purgatory and wander the earth for, like, looking for her children that she... Okay. Another version of this says her children are actually illegitimate. And so she's not married to him.
Yes.
And so she drowns them so that their father, which is the conquistador, won't be able to take them away from her. Okay. Basically.
Even though she... Okay.
Yeah.
She wanted to take him away from herself first.
Yeah, right. But then in Guatemala, the story is that the woman had a child with someone from an affair. And so that her husband wouldn't know of her affair, she drowned him.
Okay. See, that makes more sense.
Yes. And then she's condemned to search for her son in every pool of water in her afterlife. And she does so by crying out to him. And these are stories that are told to children to encourage them not to wander off in the dark.
Oh my God. Who tells this? Do you know who?
Parents to...
No, but like in what area?
Oh, like Hispanics and Spanish-speaking countries and stuff.
I feel like that's such a Russian thing to do, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, so we have like Guatemala, Venezuela.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. To wander off, to not wander off.
Yeah, to not wander off in the dark.
Not even in the water. I feel like it would be like...
Yeah, well, for some, yes, that
below
is.
The waist.
But, the reason she's called the Wailer is because she like cries out for her son or children, depending on the version.
Okay.
And if you hear her crying from like a far ways away, that means she's like really close to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but if you hear the wailing really close, it means she's really far.
Oh, so she's tricking you.
Yeah.
That bitch.
I know. So, more versions.
More versions? Oh my gosh.
In the southwestern United States, this is just another ghost story. It's like the same thing, but once again, it's told to children to scare them not into playing near bodies of water and to scare them from wandering around.
Do people actually do that, though? Like, I was never told any stories about anything. But, like, do people do that? Like, I'm sorry, I keep talking about Russia. In Russia... like, were you told about... I think there's, like, this one that's, like, to force your kids to go to sleep. They, like, tell you the story that if you don't go to sleep, this man or something is going to, like, do something to you.
Wasn't that Krampus? Was that the Krampus legend?
No, I think it was like, a lullaby that they sang to children to make them go to sleep. And it's like, if you don't, you're going to fucking die.
Oh, good.
Do people actually do that? If you live in Russia, please tell me.
Or if you just have a story that... You were told, because I wasn't told stories like that, but I was told stuff like from my mom, like, don't talk to strangers and like,
Yeah, but it's not like the boogeyman will get you if you talk to strangers. Do you know what I mean?
That's
like,
true.
There's not it's a folklore behind it.
That's true. It's just, yeah, you're right.
Because I was told to go to sleep, But I wasn't told, if you don't go to sleep,
You're gonna die.
the boogeyman will come and, like, cut you in half or something. I wasn't told that, but...
I was not told that either.
The cat. Anyways,
so
bath time.
In Venezuela, it is also very similar, but in this case, she didn't kill herself, but rather she died of sorrow after her children were killed. But then it says...
After her children were killed by her.
Either by herself or her family. That one it doesn't specify.
Okay.
Yeah. But then other versions, I don't like this version because... Just listen to this.
Oh, no.
Other versions say that she was vain and spent her nights around town instead of tending to her children. And one night, as she stumbled home drunk, she found both of her children drowned. And as a curse for her neglectfulness, she constantly has to search for her children in the afterlife.
Where's the dad? He's not brought up. He's working.
Because it would be babysitting if the dad did it. Come on now.
That's so...
Listen, we watched something and someone literally was like, "Oh, are you babysitting?" And the guy, before the guy could even be like, no, these are just my kids that I am taking care of.
These are my kids?
Kyle was like, I hate that so much. Like, it's so stupid.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
It is. I work at a daycare. So some of the, like, new parents are like, yeah, I'm, like, really nervous to, like, leave my husband with my child because I have to work late this one day. And I'm just like, has your husband never been alone with his own children before?
Yeah.
That's concerning.
Well, okay, you don't have a TikTok.
No.
There was this huge thing a little bit ago that was like talking about, I don't know if you've heard, like, weaponized incompetence.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
My sister did that.
Really?
My sister, yeah. She's like, I just am so bad at sweeping the floor, so Hunter's really good at it, and she should keep doing that. Is that, like, the same thing?
It's
like,
similar.
Like,
yeah,
I can't do it. I'm so bad. Like,
you should do it. But it's like, there's a lot of videos, okay? So there's a couple of things where one kid, like, very, very small, okay? A very small child, was, like, in their little play thing where you kind of are sitting back and it kind of rocks a little bit, you know, like that little thing. Like a...
Oh, yes. But you have to rock it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in one of those things, and the mom asked if, like, the husband could, you know, feed their child.
No.
And she comes back in and sees him playing video games with the child and the bottle propped up against the child so that it's constantly getting a flow of this milk, which can literally kill them.
Dude. It takes 10 minutes to do. The baby's not even in his lap?
No. And then another one
because, like,
I saw,
I've done that. Like, I've put a baby in my lap and, like, put a blanket under his thing, and I'm just holding him sitting in the chair, but I'm not just like, you have a bottle, you have a bottle, you have a bottle, and
then
I'm
going and
go.
doing something else. And they can't even, they're so young, they can't even grab anything
They
to
can't
move it.
Yeah, some of them are so young, they can't even turn their heads. Like,
exactly. Yeah, and then there was another one that I saw where a woman asked if her husband could, like, watch the kid for a couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden heard, like, hysterical crying, and came running downstairs to see the kid had been put, like, in between the cushions of a couch.
No.
Like, propped up like that.
No.
And the dad was, like, nowhere to be found.
What is with dads? I mean, there's bad moms out there, but, like, dads. Please just dad.
Yeah.
Just be a dad. I mean, come on.
Just be a dad. Literally.
Just be a dad. Like, you committed to this. Hello?
Yeah. Anyways, So, the reason that they tell these to children is because in some versions, she kidnaps or attacks children. And if she sees them, like, by themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, Kat, hey.
We need silence in the studio.
Psst.
Ma'am.
Okay, she's not making noise.
She doesn't care at all.
Okay. In other versions,
okay,
they say she attacks cheating husbands, which, in that case, go off, queen. Literally go off.
There's no excuse for cheating, guys. No.
That is my biggest no-no.
Biggest no-no.
Okay.
There's no reason.
Literally, just break up.
Just break up. Like, just tell me, hey,
just say,
this isn't working.
Hey. Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay. I'm glad you didn't cheat on me instead.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
The fact that cheating is a, what is it, placeholder for breaking up with people? And then the cheater's like, they still want to stay with you. But I'm confused. You don't want me, though. Like, you might want me, but you also want other people. Like,
yeah.
You think you can have your cake and eat it, too?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Original.
Yeah. So, okay.
So, anyways, she attacks cheating husbands. Yes. I love that.
Other versions
ally.
Say that seeing her is a warning that you're going to die. And when you hear her crying for her children, then you are going to face death yourself. Yeah. Sure. Some people actually claim that they still see her, like even to this day. Like it's not just like an old thing. Yeah. So this is a story that comes from an article by someone named Emily Trejo. Her grandma had a personal experience with La Llorona at a very young age and still distinctly remembers it. So here's the aftermath of when her grandmother heard La Llorona cry one cold and windy night. So I listened to, I read the transcribed like Spanish to English version of the grandma's story.
Okay.
And that was basically like one night her dad was supposed to come home and the last bus that went through town didn't stop, which meant that he wasn't going to be there. And then they were really worried. And so they like ran out to like try and look for him. And while they were out there, they heard her and her mom ran out there. They heard La Llorona crying. And like the mom like grabbed her and like ran as fast as she could into like back into the house and like explained like that's La Llorona, like we can't be out there.
Really?
Yeah. And then the dad ended up coming home around like 3 a.m. But so this is quote. As my abuelita says, after La Llorona cries, something happens to your family. That night after she cried, all the dogs in town began to howl at once. The dogs knew she was there and were aware of the omen that she had brought with her. Later that same day, my grandma heard what La Llorona had brought to the family. When La Llorona cried, a huge fight broke out among the family. 2 of the cousins were angry with one another and began to fight. Out of rage, they each grabbed a knife and started going at each other. One cousin lost all his fingers on one hand, and the other had a huge gash in one of his cheeks. The cousins each lost a part of themselves that day, but La Llorona got what she wanted. End quote.
That's horrifying. I need more answers, though. Like...
That's literally all I have.
What are holidays like after that? Like...
That's a great question.
Like, he's just there with his, like, one
with
finger.
With his stump. It's just a stump
just
now.
Eating.
Yeah.
And the other one just has, like, a
You can eat from the side.
Stop. That was too far.
I'm sorry.
You took
that
it way
was too far?
That was too far.
But the stump hand wasn't?
I want to know... No, the stump hand wasn't.
Okay.
I want to know what the fight was about. Like...
Yeah, like, why did it...
Yeah.
It just...
Was it just, like, they literally just got so angry?
Yeah, it's like she, like... I guess... Yeah, it's like she causes it. She causes, like, anger and resentment and stuff to, like... And so...
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. You know what we didn't do?
There's no way of avoiding it.
No. We didn't shuffle...
I know. We could do that now.
We should do it now because, I mean, we're done and this is a little shorter episode. There weren't as many things. Let me grab.
Oh, pumpkin.
Okay, we'll switch this time. You want to do this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Putting her down.
Probably really fucking loud.
They like it.
Do you like the sound of shuffling cards? Are you into ASMR? I can get some ASMR. Tell me if I should start an ASMR channel in the comments down below.
Tell her she should.
I already have one waiting.
You have one?
We just put...
Yes. What do you want?
I can't talk. Okay, so last time we...
Make it stop. Make it stop.
Am I real or just a prop? Okay, so anyway, the only reason why we did 2 the other time...
I can't stop singing. Anyways, what?
So let's just...
We did 2.
Yeah, but it was because 2 flew out at once.
Okay, so we're doing 1.
So we have 1.
She came out strong, though.
So did this one.
Okay.
Okay.
No wishy-washy today.
Do you want to read yours?
First,
I'll go first. So this is carnelian. Gonna
look at her. Clap. Everyone clap.
Everyone clap for carnelian. Okay, anyway.
Clap for carnelian.
Who needs it? The understimulated and anybody asking to get acquainted with their fears. We have some beautiful work to do together. Now, shut the fuck up and let's do this, is what you should be saying to your fears. Where to put it? Wherever you want to inject some passion and confidence, i.e. your palette, so like if you're painting, or your pelvis for some passion.
Ooh. Gotta get passion in there.
When to use it? When you find your creativity or sex drive on sleep mode.
Oh.
No sleep mode for us.
Oh. I know, a little more ASMR for you.
ASMR.
Okay.
Little shades. Oh, my dear. Just
oh god, here we go. That's nice. Oh, yeah. Anyways, so that one sounds nice. Creativity. If you're on slow mode, you need some of the stuff.
Or if you gotta spice up that sex life.
Gotta spice it up. We have the new moon eclipse, and it says expect powerful change. Ooh. What should I read here?
I read this.
Okay.
I kind of skimmed that, and then I read the Attune to the Moon.
Okay, so
here it rhymes.
Go. Strap in. If you want affirmation that you can achieve your dreams and get the desired outcome in the situation you're asking about, then this is it. This is the card of beginnings, and there are powerful energies at work. But be prepared. It could be quite a ride, and events now could be jarring and uncomfortable. However, any new directions you take will almost always lead somewhere better than where you are at the moment. Whatever is happening now is happening for a reason, and you'll appreciate it later on. A new portal is opening up, and all you have to do is have the courage to forget about the past and move through it. You're being put back on the right path. There is nothing to fear. Never mind the past. Life evolves every single day. So, explain. Explain what you sent me earlier.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so yesterday, I'm very into tarot stuff, obviously. Yesterday, I was watching a tarot reading. I have to get the exact thing because it was crazy. Here we go. So the pile that I drew talked about like success and like it had the star. So it was saying this could be like the star card can represent like, you know, new beginnings, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it also could represent like actual stardom and like actually like getting out to lots of people and, you know, spreading stuff. Spreading.
Mail?
And hang on, I have to. Okay, the other one was basically like if you get an idea, like this pile was really powerful. If you get an idea, you were meant to get that idea. You were on the right. This is going to sound extremely crazy to some of you. Like I'm telling you right now. But basically it's like your frequency, your body was at the right frequency to be able to receive this idea because it was meant for you. And so like this idea, you know?
Yeah.
And then the last one was
happiness.
Oh, yeah. The last one was talking about how, you know, if we just keep with this until March, we will see our, like, reward and stuff. And the craziest part is that this girl that did this reading, I'm not subscribed to her on YouTube. Right. It just showed up on my, like, you know, recommended. Yeah. And at the very, very beginning, the first thing she said was, I've never felt this strongly about a reading. And if you happen to stumble across this reading, I don't think it's a coincidence. And so, you know.
You better keep listening to us.
So, please subscribe. Or we'll start an ASMR channel.
Anyways,
okay, we're going to go. We have to have another episode to film. So... That's exciting.
Bye.